Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Club Junkie podcast. Hopefully, you're having a good week. It's another Thursday, and I'm excited. I'm getting a week closer to playing some golf in my league. The weather outside right now is absolutely beautiful. I should be playing golf today, but I'm working. I got to find a way to sneak out and go play, but I'll get there. And I'm excited to get on the course, excited to get on some grass, and I got a ton of wedges to test out that I can't wait to do. But before we get into today's episode, just want to let you know this episode brought to you by Titleist and the new Titleist Pro V1 and Pro V1X. For the best in the world, the goal is to improve every day. Same goes for all of us dedicated to this game, and it starts with choosing a golf ball you can trust. The Titleist Pro V1 and Pro V1X have set the standard for performance, and now they just got better again. Both models are engineered with high gradient core technology that delivers lower long game spin for more distance and more consistent ball flight. And of course, you can expect that trusted drop and stop greenside control that is so important to shooting lower scores. Pro V1 is the best combination of distance, spin, and feel in the game and delivers a penetrating ball flight, where Pro V1X flies higher, spins more in the short game, while still giving you low spin on longer shots to maximize your distance. Outperform your best. Learn more about the new Pro V1 and Pro V1X at Titleist.com. There it is. I'm excited. I'm going to have new Pro V1X out next week, Thursday. Next week's show, when you hear in the morning, that day, first day of Men's League 2023. I know I've got some DMs from some people who are excited to get deep into Men's League, and I know I'm maybe not, Club Pro guy in terms of Thursday Night League. Probably not as entertaining as he is, but I'm excited. And there's always a little bit of, I guess, drama or whatever in terms of listening to how poorly I've shot, and then also what I was playing that week. Because every week it's different. Every single week I go in with something different in the bag. And it's just the way it is. It's the fun part of the week. And the downside is there's only like one guy, like Jay, who actually cares if there's anything new in my bag. Everybody else is just kind of like whatever. It's either expected or people just aren't as big into equipment as I am. So when I show up with new stuff, it just kind of goes, it just flies under the radar other than like one guy in the league. But excited to do that. I got tons of stuff. Like I said in the first part of the show, I've got a bunch of wedges to try out, to test out. And I've had them, and it, hitting off a mat on a range is just not, it just doesn't do, just doesn't justify wedges. You got to get out and play them and hit some different shots, hit them out of the, different lies, bunkers, whatever. So I've got a good amount. I've got the new Adele P grind, their SMS wedge with the P grind. I've got RTX 6s, the Callaway, Jaws full toe. I've got, what else do I got up there? I feel like there's one other I'm missing. But I've got a couple wedges to hit. Oh, the Mizuno the Mizuno S23s. Have those to hit. A lot of wedges. And I'll be taking a bunch out and seeing how they perform. And I'm excited about that. And then still got a bunch of drivers, a bunch of woods. It's just, just finding the time to hit everything. But I'm gonna have a lot more time coming up now that it's getting nicer. This week has been awesome. Next week isn't supposed to be quite as nice as this week. This week is, yesterday I think was almost 80. Today I think is gonna be like 75. Or today's gonna be 80, and then 70s through basically the weekend. And then Monday drops down. But Thursday's supposed to be 62 and partly cloudy, partly sunny, however you want to look at it. But 62 is pretty good. I'll take a 62 night, walking with the old push cart, playing some golf. So I'm excited. Today's show, I don't think I've done a whole lot of. Well, before I get into reviews today, I haven't done a ton of tinkering lately. I did rebuild up my Seymour H5 that I have, or M5. I'm sorry, the M5. That putter, I had that. I kind of had the funny is, so I had that putter. I gave it to my daughter because I was building her a set, and I built it up. And then as soon as I built it up, I kind of was, I always saw it in her. We would go up and maybe hit a few putts, whatever. And I kind of was recently I was like, I kept seeing it and I was like, I kind of want it back. So, so I took it back. Yeah, it's an M5HT, Seymour M5HT is what it was, the head. And I had a short little graphite iron shaft that I cut down and sanded the tip and all that and got it to fit. And then I just kind of was like, man, I want that putter head back. I want to try it again and mess with it. I haven't putted with it in a while. I reviewed it on this show a while ago when I first got it. And so I switched it out, and I had a PXG 0211 Clydesdale head that I wasn't going to use. So I pulled the shaft, put the shaft in the Clydesdale head, put the head cover back on, and put it up near her toy box. So I don't know if she's noticed yet. We'll see. She definitely will notice. She is one of those kids who just notices everything. So she will notice. It'll be interesting to see her reaction. But I did build up the Seymour, and I put in a Stability Tour shaft that I had laying around that was already kind of cut down, already had a lambkin deep edge cord grip on it. So I put that in, and yeah, we'll give it a run. I was putting with it in the basement a little bit, and it feels good. It is a really good feeling putter. I mean, the milling on it is really solid. Seymour's pretty underrated when it comes to milled putters. So if you're looking for something, I always had a problem with them looking. They've got a kind of a unique limonade where on the heel there's two white lines, like a red dot or oval. And you basically line up either the shaft or the hosel, depending on your model, to cover the red. And when the red's covered, it's lined up square. And for whatever reason, they always, every time it was lined up perfect, when I looked down at it, it always looked like 3 degrees closed. I don't know what it was. It was just always in my mind, looked different. And I think I was talking to one of the Seymour guys at one of the PGA shows years ago, and I think it's something with being, more left eye dominant or something like that makes it look that way. But this kind of with this putter, it's got more of a kind of like the plumber's neck hosel on it, and it definitely looks more square. I mean, it looks just a hair closed, but nothing like it was before with like either the straight shafts or some of the double bends, but it definitely looks better. But I was putting down here, and it's good, man. It feels solid, and I'll take it out. And it didn't necessarily make the gamer bag when I had it, but we'll see. We'll put it back in. We'll toss some putts at it and see what happens. But it felt good down here, and I'm excited to give it a whirl along with a handful of other things that I've got to hit. So. Wedges will be the big one coming these few weeks, so I'll probably do shows where it's like, a wood and a wedge, but we'll burn through some wedges, still got some irons, some stuff to try out. So, and then I'm building up, can't talk about it yet, it doesn't come out till basically next week. I think early next week it comes out. I'm trying to look at the calendar what day it is. We got new product coming out, but yeah, next week Monday, so only a few more days. Next week Monday, I've got a club. I'm putting a shaft in it. The stock shaft is not what I was looking for, so we're building up a club as well. So putting a shaft in there, and we'll hit some clubs with that, or hit some balls with that. And yeah, that's about all the tinkering I've got. And then it's just on to hit some stuff. So today, I'm going to talk about a couple hybrids. I know I talked about the Mizuno, the SDZ last week, one that I'm really impressed with. And this week, we're going to get into Stealth 2. So Stealth 2, Stealth 2 Plus. We'll kind of talk about both these. I've been a big fan of the TaylorMade hybrids for a while now. I think ever since the OG Sim came out, I was a big fan of the looks and the shape, and ended up being a really good hybrid. And the nice thing is TaylorMade hasn't really gone too far away from that recipe since they started making those. A lot of the very similar looks. Performances, just incrementally been going up, and the TaylorMade's smart about it. Don't break it. It ain't broke. Don't break. Or what is it? If it ain't broke, don't fix it, or whatever. So it's it's definitely a good recipe. They've had some really good hybrids out, and it's interesting because they make three. They make the Stealth 2 Plus, the Stealth 2, and then the Stealth 2 HD. And on tour, you'll actually see, I feel like the one you see the most is really just the standard Stealth 2. That head there, it seems like, is the one that, if you see it on tour, that's the one. And it seems like every year, in the beginning of the year, you'll see, a lot of the big name guys, testing these things, messing with them, and seeing if they go in the bag. So the Stealth 2, the standard, I do have to say, I like the shape. That was the one, I think it was one, like I said, When OJ Sim came out, that was the one that I kind of really liked the shape of. It's a little bit bigger, but it doesn't sit super closed or anything like that. It doesn't have, the face progression doesn't go too far out in front of the shaft. Just overall a really solid look. And coming into the Stealth 2, they basically kept that same DNA. It's now no longer chalk and black, and it's all black. But they did, I believe they did go to a carbon crown in this bad boy. At least if they didn't, they painted it to look like one. I don't remember if they did actually go to the full carbon crown on this, but it does look like it, which is interesting. I was sitting in the tech presentation. I just don't remember. I think it is carbon crown. When you tap on it, it sounds like carbon. So they've gone to the carbon crown. I think the Stealth or the original Sim was all steel still, but a good, really good look. Gloss black on the back, matte finish up on the crown, where the carbon meets the steel. Steel face. It's got twist face, which it took, I don't think the original Sim had, and then it's also got this like silver line etched into the very top, which TaylorMade had said they did a bunch of research in the all black heads. People weren't aligning them as well, so they put that little white line in there to help people align the head, and it helped improve it. Some people I know, when you look at it, will say like, "Oh, that's distracting." I almost forget it's there. It's one of those things that it's there. I don't even notice it. But V steel sole for better turf interaction, all that, and the profile's a good shape. I like the more rounded look of this thing. It's a little bit bigger, especially when you put it down next to Stealth 2 Plus. It's a little bigger compared to a handful of hybrids out there. I don't want to call it a mini fairway wood look, because it doesn't really look like a fairway wood, but it is a decent sized hybrid. Which again, like I tell you guys, I don't really mind that. I like woods that are a little bit bigger, that look a little larger, because I feel like it gives me the confidence. I don't have to hit it 100% on the screws every time. I can hit it a little bit off, still get away with some shots. And for the most part with the Stealth 2, you can hit it kind of all over the face on this thing, and you can pretty much get away with some pretty poor swings and end up with some decent results. Sound and feel on this thing's really good. I mean, stainless steel, I think it's stainless steel. You get that, that little ting, kind of what we all expect from hybrids. It's a good pitch. It's not too loud. Good ting to it. Even on the mishits, you still get that kind of similar sound. Hitting it kind of low heel, it'll kind of start to turn into a little more of a kind of a thwack sound as you move kind of further away from the face and lower on the face. But anything kind of remotely close to center, you get that nice ting that we all expect from stainless steel fairway woods, hybrids. Remember, even like the old drivers used to have that nice little ting there that we all knew and loved. Forgiveness on it seems to be, this one here, really stable. When you hit it off the toe, hit it off the heel, part of it having twist face, the other part of it just being a little larger. Those balls still get up, still carry pretty well. Launch, I would consider, I don't want to say it's necessarily like high compared to, say, a 7 wood, but it's definitely one of the higher ones, probably one of the higher hybrids I've hit this year, and I haven't hit a million. I've still got couple actually to hit. Looking up in my collection of clubs that I still have to hit, I still have a few that I need to get out there, but definitely one of the higher ones, one of the easiest ones to launch. And again, I haven't hit everything, but this one is pretty easy. If you're somebody who is putting this in the bag because you don't want to hit a 3, 4, 5, whatever iron, it definitely is much easier to elevate than the corresponding iron. Now, they are long. I mean, I found that kind of going back even a few generations, hybrids, matching them up with your iron set, it isn't necessarily a 1-to-1 ratio. And what I mean by that is your 4 iron doesn't necessarily mean it'll be a 4 hybrid. You really have to kind of go hit them and see what the gapping looks like, because the 3 hybrid for me goes probably farther than I could ever hit a 3 iron. I play the 3, which is, this is 19 degrees. I kind of shoot for right around that 19, 20 is kind of the spot for my kind of in between my 5 or my 7 wood and my 4 iron, or I'm sorry, in between my 3 wood and 4 iron. But not all the time. But so for mine, it does work out to be a 3, but not everybody does. I've had some 4 hybrids that were 21, 22, whatever degrees, similar to a 4-iron that just went way farther on the course. So you kind of have to mess around and don't necessarily look at the number on the club and say, oh, well, I have to have the 4 because my 4-iron's gone. It could be the 5, depending on launch conditions and all that. It could be the 5, the 5 hybrid that you need. It could be the 6. It could be the 3, whatever. When you go hit them, you just got to hit them on a launch monitor, kind of see. And if you're somebody who's looking to buy a hybrid, I would say bring whatever the club before it, or the club after it, and the club before it. So for me, like I would bring in, maybe my 3-wood and my 4-iron, hit balls, and then see kind of which hybrid fit me the best. Because the numbers on the bottom now, like irons, lofts have got a little stronger, heights have gone up, ball speed's gone up, everything. They go a little farther than old hybrids do. I remember my old like Diablo tours and stuff like that, and they were great. They went pretty far. These seem to go a little bit farther and a little bit higher, and they're just a little easier to hit. So the Stealth 2, the standard model, they make in a 3, which I was kind of shocked. I was kind of shocked they didn't make a 2 for at least for retail. I don't know what they do for tour, but 3, 19 degrees is the lowest loft they make, and then they go all the way down to a 7-iron at 31 degrees. So it's got a wide range of hybrids that you can put in the bag, and again, find the right gap for you. And don't get focused solely on the number on the club, because it's all about how do you hit it and what distance does it go, how high does it go, all that. Does it fit in the bag in the spot you need? It may not be the number that you think it might. So, again, I really like the shape of this. I think it looks really good. I just, I've liked these ever since the Sim models came out. I think TaylorMade's done a really good job, and I'm glad they haven't changed the shape much at all. It's just pretty classic to me, and it looks pretty good. And I think this is a shape that this is a club you'll see in tour players' bag all the way up to somebody who is a high handicap, who's kind of either just picking up the game or getting back into it, or just wants something easier to hit. So I think from a 20 plus down to a tour player, this is a club that can be in their bag. Now, ball flight bias, I know that when you get down to the better players, and I'm a long way away from a better player, but when you're getting to the better players, I know a lot of them are just fearful of anti-left. Does it go left? Pretty neutral. I do say compared to the plus maybe a hair fade bias, if you want to call it that. This is a little bit easier to turn over than the Stealth 2 Plus, but the standard Stealth 2 is pretty straight. I expected it actually to be a little more draw to it when it got up in the air. It does, fight a little bit of that right. If you're a person who slices the ball, it is easier to turn over and square it up and hit it straight. Now, they do make an HD model that's more draw bias. I didn't hit that one. I actually don't have that one. And usually that's okay, because as you guys know, I tend to hook everything, so I don't really need help with a much more draw. But this is a pretty neutral ball flight. I mean, you can hit it left if you try, or if your swing flaws or swing mechanics like mine permit that, you can definitely get it to go left. But overall, it's pretty neutral. It wants to go pretty much straight, and when you hit a good solid shot, I think as long as you're matching up a shaft that's good for your swing and all that, I think this is a pretty neutral club. If you go in there and you're a guy who swings a hybrid at 110, and you're hitting the stock stiff shaft, like, yeah, you're probably going to see some left out of this thing. But if you get something that matches up well with your club head speed and your swing mechanics, I think it's pretty neutral. I don't think you have to really fear the hybrid going left on you, which is nice to have kind of two options from TaylorMade that aren't going to go really left, and then have a model that is out there for the person who is looking to kind of help take away some of that the right hand side of the course. So still, too, I thought it was pretty neutral. Ball flight, easy to get up in the air, easy to launch, pretty high, and I haven't got it out. I haven't hit it like on the course, so but I've hit some of the older ones, and usually turf interaction, especially off the fairway, is phenomenal. And even out of the rough, you can hit this thing out of some pretty nasty conditions. Maybe not the deepest, gnarliest rough, but you can hit it out of majority of roughs out there. It gets down to the ball, gets it up in the air, and gets it out pretty darn easily. the forgiveness side, really good. The miss hits stay on line pretty well. You do notice a little bit of drop off, but the ball speed across the face is pretty darn solid. And just overall a really versatile hybrid. I mean, I know some people will chip with these bad boys and things like that. I don't really do a lot of that stuff. I feel like, the courses around Michigan, the way we're set up is, you get your green, your fringe, and then you get into kind of a heavier rough. And I just don't, maybe if you were just in front of the green and, you had just a little bit of, what do you call it? Just a little bit of fairway to jump over. I can see maybe doing it, but overall, I rarely ever chip with a hybrid. And every time I have, it seems like the face is super hot, and then I blast one through the green. So I don't really do that very often, but you can. It's pretty versatile. As I say, the sole turf interaction on the previous ones are really good. This sole looks to be very, very similar. So I'm going to basically assume that the turf interaction on this is going to be really good. Get you through most, just about anything. Even hit out of a fairway bunker, which I hate to do. I've unfortunately had to do it with the hybrids before, but I hate doing it. But again, overall shape, everything, I think TaylorMade did a great job with the Stealth 2. The Stealth Plus is basically the more compact version, and it also has an adjustable hosel. So something that I really love in hybrids, the hybrid having the adjustable hosel, being able to adjust the weight or the loft, lie, all that is pretty good. I like that. To me, it just lets you dial in the hybrid better than the standard one. If you can move the loft up and down a couple degrees, maybe change face angle a little bit, stuff like that. I think it definitely helps dial in the hybrid to the player, and I've been a big fan of it. I'm glad that we're seeing more. You're seeing adjustable hosels now from Callaway this year. I think on one of the on the Mizuno, on one of the Tour Edge models, I think the E series, the E723, they've got it there. But a handful of hybrids now have adjustable hosels, and I really like it. There's two reasons for me. One, it lets you kind of dial in the loft and kind of get the distances right, the gapping right. And then the other part too, it's easier to switch out shafts and try other shafts. So for me, it's kind of a twofold thing. But overall, much more compact. When you look at the Stealth 2 Plus, much more compact, much slimmer front to back, shorter heel to toe, much deeper face. Everything about it is just a more compact looking hybrid. The deeper face is kind of nice if you're a person who hits it off the tee a lot. I think the face on the standard one is still deep enough. If you look at it, it's still the Stealth 2, the regular Stealth 2. When you look at it, it's a pretty deep face. It's shallow enough you can hit it off the turf, but it's deep enough where if you tee it up a little bit, you're not going to be worried about getting under it, hitting high in the face, and kind of hitting a high, less powerful shot. But the face on the Stealth 2 Plus, definitely a little bit deeper. So again, has twist face to it. Look on it, I think, is really, really good. I love these little compact little hybrids. Definitely not as stable and forgiving. This is built for a slightly better player, someone who's going to hit the center a little bit more, someone who wants to kind of work it more, kind of hit it to the right, hit fades, hit draws, things like that. So is it, are you punished a little more for misses? Definitely. But I love the shape of it. It looks really good. Again, the amount of progression from leading edge into the hosel, there's not too much kind of onset there. And the, kind of, I guess you could call it like kind of pear shape of it is pretty solid. It's got an interesting little texture in the black paint that is supposed to kind of look like carbon. I think it's all steel. There's no carbon on this head, but they've kind of given it or at least I don't think there's carbon on this head, but they've given it kind of like a little texture, which is interesting. It's interesting to look at. It's not distract or anything once you are out on the course and you're playing. You just don't focus, or at least for me, I just don't focus that far back. But it is interesting to see there's this little carbon texture on it to give it just a different look. Which when I was out of the Kingdom and first saw it, I didn't remember Didn't remember seeing that, so maybe I saw a prototype that was smooth, but these here now, they do have the kind of textured back, which is interesting. Single movable or single interchangeable weight on the sole, more for swing weight purposes, and then both of them also have the speed pocket behind the face. So a lot of tech into this one. Same thing, sound and feels really good. It's still got that same ting to it. It's maybe just a hair lower pitched than the standard Stealth 2. The Plus model is just maybe a hair more muted, a hair more lower pitched on center shots. Again, really responsive as your shots kind of move out away from, out on the toe, down in the heel. You still get that good sound and ting, but you do notice that it does change volume, change wavelength, change the pitch as you move, which is good because if you missed it or didn't, or miss center. You didn't. Again, lower heel kind of gets down to a lower pitch, kind of thwacky type of sound when you miss it down there. Overall, really good sound and feel. I think most hybrids, it's pretty easy. I think, drivers, when you have so much real estate and so much open space inside the head, is where you get into, where sound and feel really changes. On hybrids, I think they're so compact, they're so small that, pretty much they're all going to sound pretty darn good and have a good feel to them. But this one here, I like the sound. Like I said, a little bit lower pitch than the standard one. Not a ton. It's probably something if you're going to notice more indoors in like a dome than you are, or simulator than you are outdoors so much. But good sound and feel to it. The twist face down there. Now this, you're not going to get away with shots like you do with the Stealth 2. When you miss it on the toe, miss it on the heel, when you hit it a little high in the face, whatever, you're going to notice the ball go offline a little faster, a little harder. The ball's going to move to the right, move to the left. It's a smaller club head. You're going to get penalized a little bit more. I don't think anybody's shocked by that. I think if you go in there, you pull both of these, the Stealth 2 Plus, you're going to have to be a little more precise with. Whereas the Stealth 2, you're going to be able to get away with some mishits, or at least get away with a little better. This thing still holds up pretty well. I mean, if you put a 3-iron in my hand, and then you put this in my hand and had me hit shots into a green, whether it's off the tee, whether it's off the turf, this is still going to let you get away with much more than a 3-iron. Just the ball speed on the face, especially if you hit it kind of low, you still get some carry. You still get the ball up in the air easier, much easier than a 3-iron, in my opinion. At least for me, because I don't hit it super high. So I don't hit it high. So for me, 3-irons, 4-irons, 2-irons, I mean, those things I just don't elevate them. I can't hit them high enough. Even when I strike it well, that ball is just not hitting a very high apex, and it's something that you're going to have to plan out. Hit it well, let it hit the front of the green, release all the way to the back, or whatever it's going to do. Where a hybrid, you're going to get a little softer, landing, and you get a little more firepower out of it too. These things here, I felt like, with hybrids, I've carried either a hybrid or 7 wood in the bag for a 3-iron now for, I couldn't even tell you how long the last time I had a 3-iron was. It was forever ago. And it's just nice having a little bit more, or having a little more easy forgiveness at the top of the bag, and that's kind of why I put in like the eye crossover and some of the utility stuff as my 4-iron too. I like having those little thinner faces, the little bit more distance at that top end of the bag that I don't have it. So I it's kind of nice to be able to have that shot that's 195 or something like that, and know that you have a club that you can get there, and it's not choking down on something that's longer and trying to kind of finesse it up and get it up there, when you can just take a normal full swing and hit the shot. So the Stealth 2 Plus, a little more neutral. I think it's definitely a little bit harder to turn over. I'm not going to necessarily call it fade bias, but it definitely is harder to hit it left than Stealth 2. I think it's noticeable. I mean, I know people always ask me, like, do you notice a difference in forgiveness, or do you notice a difference in this? I feel like, if you're hitting these two side by side, most people will probably notice that the Stealth 2 Plus will want to go straight to slightly fade a little bit more than the Stealth 2. It's a little harder to turn over. You're going to have to make sure, if you're somebody who hits a little bit of a slice, you're going to have to make sure that you square the club up, that you release it, because it's not going to give you pretty much any help turning it over and getting it to go left. Like I said, I'm not going to call it a fade machine or anything like that. But I think it's pretty darn neutral, and it doesn't really want to go left. It wants to stay straight and hit the ball out there. Again, adjustable hosel, so you can adjust lie angle a little bit. So lie angle on this thing is going to go anywhere from 57 to 60. So about 3 degrees, which is a good amount compared to 60 degrees on the standard Stealth 2. So you can go a little flatter on this bad boy as you change, as you go through and change things. I played it basically in just the stock setting, the standard setting as they call it, and we'll get into a couple numbers because I have been hitting these things a little bit, and I've also got the 3 woods that I got to talk about as well, but I just haven't had enough time with those yet. So hitting these, they're pretty close. Between the two, the Stealth 2 Plus, Stealth 2 yard, carry wise, overall carry. Again, I don't take out all my bad shots. If I hit one that's somewhat poor, now I mean if I flat top it, I'm going to take that out. But if I just hit a shot that's less than perfect, they all stay in for the most part. If I top it or if I really get over the top and smother it so far left that it hits my ankle on the way out to my left ankle on the way out to the range, yes, I'm going to delete that shot. But everything else I'm going to keep in there. I don't only hit perfect shots, which I think is nice, and also I'm doing it to kind of save face when I give yardages and all those things. So I am not a machine by any means. So between the two, really similar in terms of carry distance. The Stealth 2 Plus was an average carry of 200 yards, where the Stealth 2 was 203. So pretty close. Stealth the standard Stealth 2 a little bit farther. 3 yards, and looking at when you're starting to hit shots, the best shots were actually pretty similar with these two. When you look at the best shots that were in the kind of the 212-ish type range, right around there, 210s to 212s were really struck well for a carry distance, and that's about what I plan for this thing on the course. I may pull it at like 220 just to hit something up there that's going to be up short, but I don't know. I know it's not going to go over, but that 210-ish range is to maybe 215 is on the course of what I'm going to pull this thing for. And my best shots, like I said, were right around 210 to 212. But I did have some shots, as you miss it, and I think if you probably pulled 2 perfect shots, they're probably very similar. But some of the misses, with the Stealth 2 Plus, you did just lose a little bit. So some of those misses had a little less yardage to them than the standard Stealth 2, but pretty close. Spin-wise, the Stealth 2 Plus actually spun it a little more at 44.72 and 41.99 for the Stealth 2. So about 300 RPM difference for me on these two. And a little bit of that, I think, is, when you look at kind of the perfect shots, it got a little tighter. But this one, the Stealth 2 Plus, I didn't have as much kind of draw to it. I didn't hit as many draws where I'm able to, kind of turn the Stealth 2 over a little bit more. And I did have probably, 1 or 2 more over the top shut face, hit it left shots, which come out like bullets in their low spin, where the Stealth 2 Plus, pretty much everything was a little bit straight, and even hit a few more that had some, had a little bit more fade onto them. So perfect shots, I think that's, 300 is probably pretty close, if not maybe a little bit tighter on exact perfect shots. But, the shot shaping, I think, had a little to do with some of the spin as well. The nice thing too is both these, the differentiation in spin between a miss hit and a center shot, again, like the drivers, is really tight. Like you don't see a huge jump in spin when you miss it, on the low on the heel, and then hit one high on the toe. Like the spin number just doesn't go crazy. It really kind of stays very even, and you don't see a wide range. Ball speed pretty close on both. Stealth 2 Plus 133.8. Stealth 2 134.4, so pretty darn close, about half a mile an hour, just about between the two. And again, I think the Stealth 2, a little bigger face, a little longer from heel to toe. You get away with a little bit more there, and I think it holds a little bit better ball speed on those miss hits. I think again, if you look at the dead center shots, the absolute perfect shots, that number's probably a little bit closer. They're probably very, very similar, but you get away, you have a little bit of a little wider margin of error with the Stealth 2. Club head speed between the two, and actually I swung the pretty close, 94.6 for the Stealth 2 Plus and 93.9 for the Stealth 2. Excuse me. So I actually swung it a little faster with the 2 Plus, which is interesting because the Stealth 2 Plus kind of actually feels a touch heavier to me. I didn't throw them on the swing weight scale or anything like that, but the Stealth 2 Plus, just in terms of like, when you set it down, it felt just a touch bit heavier, and I don't know if that's just because the look of it or whatever, but it just kind of felt a touch heavier. So I was kind of surprised. I swung it just a little bit faster, and again, basically a half a mile an hour, nothing too crazy. Smash factor between the two: Stealth 2 Plus 141, Stealth 2 143, and I'm going to chalk that up again to a little better miss hits with the Stealth 2. When you do miss it, the speed doesn't drop off as quickly as it does with the Stealth 2 Plus. And again, I don't think anybody would I think anybody going into it is going to know. I'm not saying that as a knock to the Stealth 2 Plus at all. It requires a little bit more precision, and for the player who needs that kind of more neutral flight, you might be willing to give up a hair of that ball speed, or hair of that smash factor to get that desired ball flight. So launch angle between the two: 12.6 for the 2 Plus, 13.5 for the 2. So both actually launching a little higher than the Mizuno I talked about last week, and both were a little bit higher launching for me. I think for most players, you're probably going to see the Stealth 2 Plus probably launch flatter than the other two, but for me, both of them launching was a little bit higher. And again, I mean, I think the Mizuno was like 11.8 or something like that when I went back and looked. So 12.6 for the Plus, and 13.5 for the standard 2. It was. I mean, I don't want to say it was a crazy noticeable difference or anything, but you could kind of notice that that the window the window for the ball flight on the 2 was just a little bit higher. I mean, it wasn't anything crazy amount, anything like that. I mean, but it was a little bit higher. I was kind of shocked that the Plus actually came out that high, because the Plus, seeing those really well struck shots come out kind of more penetrating, but on the flip side, you're able to kind of, I don't hit it as much left, which typically those shots left come out a little lower, and they don't rise up. They're a little low spin, and you just don't hit many of those with the Stealth 2 Plus. So pretty similar, but like I said, just a slight bit higher with the Stealth 2, and then an apex height of 82 for the Plus and 87 for the 2. So pretty similar. I mean, 5 feet isn't a ton of difference, but a little bit of difference between the two. But between the two of them, I really liked them both. I mean, I know if you look at the numbers on paper, you're like Stealth 2 would be the one that you would put in the bag. And it's probably right. It's probably what I should. I love the shape, but there's just something about that 2 Plus and ripping it off the tee that just appeals to me. So it's definitely not something that I'm just not going to pursue any further. We're definitely going to hit both of these and get them on the course and all that. They're both really solid. So for me, looking at it, if it's something where I was going to hit it more off the deck than off the tee, like if I'm playing a course that is a little bit longer, I know the par 5s or par 4s or even some long par 3s, whatever, I'd probably go Stealth 2, the standard. And if it's a shorter course, something where I'm going to hit a lot more hybrids off the tee, I would probably go Stealth 2 Plus. So I think there's for my game at least, there's an argument to be made for both of these heads. And I think for most people, who aren't going to have both and aren't going to have this large collection of stuff to just go hit whenever they want and everything, I think there's a case to be made for both. I think that depending on the player you are, I think one of these will fit your game a little bit better than the other. And if you're a total club junkie and you just have them both, and depending on the courses you play, you put one or the other. But it's both really solid. I think, again, TaylorMade. If you're comparing them to Stealth, I didn't really hit the Stealths on launch monitors or anything like that. If you compare them, I bet they're pretty similar. But I think, again, TaylorMade did a really good job of not breaking something that wasn't broken. You don't have to throw a whole big redesign out there. These are great. The Stealth ones were great. In terms of shape and performance and all that, just slightly improve them. And again, I think TaylorMade did a good job, not breaking what was so good before. But the Stealth 2, like I said, both these are we'll get them on the course. I got to see if one or the other could potentially make the bag. It's just a hard thing. Like, I like the 7-wood so much that the hybrid is kind of, do I put it in the bag? But I think as I spoke like last week or the week before or something, like the more I talk about it, the more hybrid kind of makes sense for how I use it. I don't hit them into the greens that often. At the 2 courses I play the most at, I just don't hit a lot of balls into the green from, 215-ish, something like that. I mean, it's either much shorter than that, or on the par 5 at St. Clair Shores, there's a par 5 that it's going to be 3-wood. If I hit a good drive, it's going to be 3-wood. And even that, it really depends because, the whole left side's a OB. And then at Bella Vista, the par 5's there. The number 3, if you absolutely bomb a drive, you could maybe get a hybrid there. Maybe it's a little downwind. You can get hybrid from the bottom of the valley up into the green. I think I've done it, a couple times as a slightly younger lad. And then the other par 5, it's basically a 3-wood shot. And you got to carry all water, everything. So it's, you kind of look at some of the par 5s, and it's not clubs that I would hit a 7-wood into the green. So we'll see. We might do a little more hybrid action this year. But those are the Stealth 2, Stealth 2 Plus. If you go to TaylorMadeGolf.com, you can check out all the specs and everything. I think I forgot to say that the Stealth 2 Plus only making 2, 3, and 4. So they do make a 17, a 19, and a 19 and a half, and a 22, again, adjustable. So I think with a 2-degree sleeve, you can get that. The loft on the 17, I think you can get down to almost a 15, which would be kind of crazy. But if the gapping, that's what you need, hey, go for it. But go to TaylorMadeGolf.com, check out all the specs on the Stealth 2 Plus and the Stealth 2. Both really solid hybrids. I like them both, and we'll hit them on the course and see kind of where they go from here. So anyway, that's all I've got. I'm going to try to do my Q&A today. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, please do at Club Junkie Pod. Every Wednesday and Thursday I try to do a little Q&A session where I answer your questions. Always a lot of fun. I love chatting golf with you guys and stuff like that. And I promise I will try not to ever say just go get fit and not answer the questions. So anyway, hopefully you guys have a great week. If you're wherever you're following, listening to this, whatever, if you could subscribe, do whatever, truly appreciate it. It just helps the whole algorithm and helps the show grow and all that jazz. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, all that as well. Again, truly, truly appreciate it. And like I said, if you want to follow me on Instagram at Club Junkie Pod. But that's all I've got today or this week. Hopefully you guys have a good one. I really want to get out and play some golf. We'll see. We'll see what I can do. So anyway, hopefully you guys have a great week. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk next week.